Okay, so Lacrae decided to release a song called Destruction, but however, it's on his album Churches. It's on his releases 2022 album. And what do I have to say about Lacrae? Lacrae is an American artist, entrepreneur. He's great at what he does. Now, this is my first time actually hearing a completed album by him, but today I want to focus on the song called Destruction, because Destruction is a song that came out a month ago, but the video has come out recently. And it's a very powerful song. And I do have to mention that this might not be everybody's cup of tea, because this is more of a gospel artist. So many of these things he's referring to are biblical or Jesus related. Now, I do not assume that's his practice religion. However, this song called Destruction is, and it's called on Churches, so I assume some references in here too that I do want to discuss while I have the chance. So overall, I think we should have fun talking about this, and we're gonna get into detail of this real quick. Let's see if we have any responses. We'll get right into it. Hey.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, so before I get into the actual other meat of this song, I want to talk about this this line that he says. He says that I will speak at churches, hang with leaders such as, Judah, Piper, Kelly, and Tony Evans. Was a cluster that I was so involved. I never thought that I would fall. Yeah, right. Before the fall of 2015. Okay, so I do want to preference this by saying that what he's referring to is, I believe he's referring to Judah in the book of Genesis, that was the father of Solomon and David, I believe. King David and Solomon. I believe that's who he's referring to. And then Tony Evans isn't he a pastor, a speaker, and I think he has a radio show. But I can't remember, but I think that's what he's referring to when he says that he hangs around those people that are very powerful in the religious spectrum, and I think that's why my mind also went to Christianity when he was talking about this, because I know Tony Evans is an American Christian-based pastor and speaker, so I assume that's what I assumed this whole song was about when I got to that point. But he also mentioned other stuff. He said it included the killing of Michael Brown. It included the killing of Michael Brown. It made me, and so it's for me that don't know. Michael Brown. It happened in 2014, but allegedly what happened was he was shot by cops in Ferguson. But the county was Ferguson, but it's in Missouri, I believe. But he was shot by officers, and he was only 18 at the time. And I assume that's also, he says that before the fall of 2015, because I think he got killed in August 9th, 2014 is what I believe. And then they didn't officially reach the news to 2015. So it's been a while, and I think that's what he's also referring to when he says right before the fall of 2015, like the fall season of 2015. And I like the way that he puts that together. but he was a hero. He spent plenty of time. Doubled down, spoke about my pain, and I was met with blame and shame. Craig, stop crying. Get back to Jesus' name. So it's definitely a weird thing to look at, because there are so many people that try to push, like, if they think you're doing something out of God's work, they try to push you back in to what they believe you should be doing is God's work. And so they'll be like, hey, stop doing the behavior you're doing and try to find your believing back in God, which, and he said it cut him deep, and I was losing sleep, and God ain't these your sheep. I think he's saying is, God, aren't these your creations? I think that's what he means when he says sheep. He doesn't necessarily lose me, but I think it's a weird thing. He also brings up they love when I say it, but they hate say things they want to hear in public, but when I don't say something, they like following God, but means turning on black people. Is black evil? Do they hate and why do they hate and attack people? Which there are situations, and so there are situations where that does come into play, where they're like, you run into certain people and they hate you basically just basically off your race and some stereotypes that they've heard, right? And so I think that's why he makes that assumption in the song, and he wants to point that out there, that is an assumption, that he assumes that's what some people assume when they see him, and to some extent you sometimes do get those people that genuinely just base you off your race. Not a lot of people, but there really is some. He says when I'm vulnerable, I'm reading Baldwin, and I don't know if he is talking about James Baldwin and James Baldwin's speech of "I am not the American dream," and if he's talking about that, that's a deeper discussion, because Baldwin in himself, right? Baldwin in himself believed a lot of different things, but his speeches seemed similar. They wanted to get to the point of improving, right? And that's, as I said, that's another discussion. But James Baldwin, if that is who he's talking to when he says, I'm reading Baldwin had amazing speeches. If you want to listen to some of his speeches were not the best quality or the best audio to listen to, but his points are concise and clear. But that is for another day and another discussion. That's why when he says, I'm reading Baldwin, it's very deep to me that he says that. Now I'm going, and I don't know if God was real no more. Like, he was at the point where he was trying to figure out if God was real anymore. And to some extent, he says that. He says that Christians got me traumatized, where they were like, hey, everything we saw by God, and and they just kept feeding it to you. And sometimes you need to find your own way back to God. And for a minute, he says that he didn't know God. He knew God of what people thought God was, and he knew that God, but he didn't know his God, right? Like, he didn't know his God on a personal level, which I get. He says at some point drinking liquor was my therapy, and smoking married trees, but I assume that's marijuana, but we can discuss that later. I don't know if he's doing that to. He says, maybe I should get divorced. I don't know why she married me. Like, he was just down on himself. Like, we can see that through here. He says, not even Adam or ain't no Eve. Like, without no Adam, there's no Eve. Without no woman or trust in a woman or trust in somebody, there's no Adam. To some extent, I get that. It's weird. He said, I was floating in confusion until I dropped and woke up in a chemical depression. Oh, my God. Okay. So, clinical depression is something you have to be diagnosed for. You just can't say you have depression. So it's an imbalance of chemicals that happen in the brain, and there's a whole process behind that. But God knocked me off of the mule. He knocked me off of my struggles before I hit the casket, before I ended up dead, or before I ended up in a worse situation. To some extent, he found his way. He found his own God. And to some extent, I do like that. Like, that's something that I like. I do want to say, like, whatever religion you practice, please find it in your own way. Don't stick to somebody's the main idea of what God is, or gods, goddesses, or whatever you practice, because it's not always the same for everybody. He says I can find my own way, but this is what he says. Before he starts the song off, he says, "Find your own way, find your own way, find your own way." Like, that is very much. It won't take too long, because people are like, well, if I gotta find God my own way, it might take too long, and I might never know what's coming. He says, I had to deconstruct before people called it deconstruction, which I think he's just saying I had to deal with problems before they called it a specific thing in the medical field, or the DB5, the DMS5. It's the Diagnosis of Symptoms 5 edition, right, where they list like disorders and mental diagnosis and stuff like that. So he says I had to deconstruct before they even knew what deconstruction was, right? Like, he says, focus on Jesus in Atlanta, fresh up from Tennessee. And it's this concept of, if you get to Atlanta, it changes your mindset on things, right? So I get what he's saying. Like, this is very clear. We talked about the churches, the leaders. But I think overall, like, this is a great song if you want to listen to an aspect of a person that found God in himself. He's won Best Gospel Album Award, right? He's won it. He's won Grammys. What I'm saying is that this song is very touching and telling, but you have to be willing to accept it. It's a 7 out of 10 for me personally, because it's an 8. Well, it really is an 8, because it pulls onto my attention. The beat is amazing. I'm a little late to this, but this song is a little bit better than I expected it to go into, because there are some gospel artists that I don't like the way that they put words together and try to twist things, but the way he puts everything together is something refreshing. So I do like the way that he did it, and I would go say, if you haven't heard him, go listen to Lacrae, and the song is called Destruction on Churches for Something album. Churches for Clothes or something like that album. But I would definitely give it a listen. So, yeah.